Have you ever met someone who seemed to have nothing, no fancy clothes, no confidence, no sparkle, but somehow, with just one look, they touched something deep inside you? This is the story of a woman who walked into a blind date with worn shoes, tired eyes, and a broken past, and a man who saw everything she was hiding behind her silence. Before we begin, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories, where every tale reminds you that love, grace, and second chances still exist. The restaurant gleamed like a jewel in the city's evening lights. People walked in dressed in designer suits, silk dresses, and confidence that could blind a stranger. But when Clara stepped in, she didn't belong. Her shoes were scuffed from walking too far, her coat borrowed from a friend, and her purse, faded at the edges, held only a bus ticket and a trembling handkerchief. She was late. Her heart raced as the hostess looked her up and down, uncertain whether to let her stay. "Reservation for Daniel Hahn," Clara whispered. The name alone carried weight. Everyone knew Daniel Hahn, the young, brilliant CEO of Hahn Enterprises, a man whose face graced magazines and whose eyes seemed to hold secrets of success. And yet tonight, that same man sat alone at a small corner table scrolling his phone, until he looked up and froze. Clara's eyes met his, and for a second, the noise of the restaurant melted away. She expected disappointment. Men before him had looked at her, seen her cheap clothes, her hesitant smile, and turned cold. But Daniel didn't. Instead, he stood up, gentle, polite, and smiled like he had just found something he'd been looking for. "Clara?" he said, voice warm. "Yes," she whispered almost apologetically. "Glad you could make it. Please sit." His tone was kind, not the polished charm of a man trying to impress, but genuine. Still, Clara could feel the curious eyes around them. The waiter hesitated before approaching, his gaze flicking between Daniel's tailored suit and Clara's simple dress. "She wanted to vanish. Order whatever you'd like," Daniel said. She hesitated. "I'm not really hungry," she lied, though her stomach ached. Daniel tilted his head, noticing the way she gripped her napkin. "Then let's just talk," he offered softly. And so they did. At first, Clara spoke in short sentences. She told him she worked part-time at a library, that she used to love painting, and that she came to the blind date only because her friend insisted. Daniel listened, really listened. His questions weren't shallow. He asked about her dreams, her fears, her favorite books. Somewhere in that quiet corner, Clara forgot about the stares, the labels, the judgments. She laughed once, then again. Daniel smiled, captivated. He saw something no one else saw, a woman with depth, kindness, and quiet resilience. When the bill came, Clara reached for her purse. Daniel stopped her gently. "Next time," he said, her cheeks warmed. "Next time," he smiled, "if you'll let there be one." As she stepped out of the restaurant, the wind caught her hair. For the first time in months, she felt light, like maybe, just maybe, she was worth being seen. But what she didn't know was that Daniel already knew something she didn't, something that would change everything. The next day, Clara woke up smiling, replaying his words. She thought of his kindness, his patience. She didn't know how a man like him could look past everything she lacked. Meanwhile, Daniel sat in his office, staring at her name on his screen. Clara Park. He had seen that name before, in a charity report. She had once been the recipient of a scholarship fund he anonymously donated to underprivileged students. She'd been top of her class, until her mother fell sick and she dropped out to work. He had admired her from afar without even knowing it was her. That evening, Daniel sent her a message. "Can I see you again?" When Clara arrived, it wasn't a fancy restaurant this time. It was a small art gallery. Her heart stopped when she saw what was inside. Her own paintings. The ones she thought were lost when she left her studio years ago. "I found these at a community auction," Daniel said softly. "They were too beautiful to stay hidden." Clara's eyes filled with tears. "You bought them?" "I kept them safe," he said, "because I saw something in them. Something in you." In that moment, she realized he hadn't seen a woman who had nothing. He'd seen someone who had everything that mattered: strength, compassion, grace. "Why me?" she whispered. Daniel smiled, stepping closer. "Because the world taught me to chase success. But you reminded me what it means to feel human again." Tears rolled down Clara's cheeks. She had come to that blind date expecting to be judged, dismissed, maybe even pitied. But instead she was seen. They stood there among her paintings, surrounded by color and quiet beauty, both realizing that sometimes love doesn't start with perfection. It starts with seeing the brokenness in someone else and saying, "I'll stay." Years later, when people asked Daniel Hahn why he, the CEO, married a woman who had nothing, he'd just smile and say, "Because she had everything I'd ever wanted, but the world was too blind to see it." And that's the story of Clara and Daniel, a story of grace, second chances, and the kind of love that sees beyond appearances. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Kindness Stories for more tales that remind us all. Kindness is the truest form of beauty.